Hey there, Star Wars fans. Welcome back to the Hyperspace Database. I'm Jonesy the Mandalorian, your host here with today's topic. Who was Black Krrsantan? Black Krrsantan, who was also called Santi, Black K, and Santo by his associates, was a charcoal black-furred Wookiee warrior that operated during the reign of the Empire and into the Age of the New Republic. He worked mostly to serve his own interests, though he did partner with several individuals from time to time for the right price. Krrsantan grew up on the Wookiee homeworld of Kashyyyk, which was covered in lush jungles and ginormous Roshar trees, and was part of a local Wookiee clan for much of his childhood. At some point, though, Krrsantan was exiled from the Wookiee planet, and was forced to seek another life outside of the abundant forests and comforting jungles. We aren't told what Krrsantan did to earn him this exile sentence, but the Wookiee was known as being fierce in combat, so it was possible that he committed some kind of taboo against another Wookiee warrior in combat, or something like that. Wookiees hold honor in very high regard, which was evident in the tradition of the life debt, which meant that if a Wookiee's life was saved by another, then that Wookiee would protect the individual for the rest of their life, sometimes by sacrificing their own life. While it was unknown what crime Krrsantan committed to get him exiled, the crimes that he committed after this point would further disgrace him in the eyes of the Wookiee people. Krrsantan sought a life of violence and battle, which he was able to find in the gladiator pits, which were under the control of the Zonti brothers. It all started when several Trandoshan slaver groups were sent by the Zonti brothers to find warriors and put them in gladiator arenas. As the Trandoshans were tracking a Wookiee warrior, they made a startling discovery. Krrsantan had severely wounded a fellow Wookiee to use as bait to lure these slavers into an ambush, and killed many of them before capturing the one remaining conscious member of the squad. The Trandoshan was shocked to learn that Krrsantan wanted to be taken to the gladiator pits, and was eager to prove himself in the arena. He was then introduced to the Zonti brothers, who admitted that they admired the ambition of the large Wookiee, right before they stunned him and threw him in a cage, establishing that even though he volunteered, he was now their property, and that he would fight because they told him to do so. Krrsantan then underwent a grueling physical testing period, which pitted him and other gladiator candidates against monsters, harsh environments, and eventually each other to prove who was the best. While Krrsantan proved himself time and time again, the Zonti brothers were still not convinced that he could compete as a heavyweight competitor, so they took the Wookiee and forcibly surgically enhanced his skeletal structure against his will, as well as plated his hands to give him permanent knuckle dusters. The Zonti brothers trained gladiators to fight in their arenas, as well as to sell fighters to power-hungry managers who wanted to own the champions for their own fighting rings. Krrsantan made his gladiatorial debut in front of a wide variety of potential buyers, and was pitted against a Trandoshan, a Nikto, and a Hoke. Needing to prove his worth, Krrsantan immediately ditched his two vibroblades and charged the other gladiators, quickly demolishing the head of the Trandoshan and throwing the Hoke into a fire, before charging the Nikto and choking him, making him proclaim to the stunned audience, "Hail Black Krrsantan, undefeated, unbowed," right before he snapped the Nikto's neck, ending his opponents once and for all. The reputation of the newly christened Black Krrsantan soared after this point, and he went on to become a heavyweight champion, though he never forgot what the Zonti brothers did to him and how they treated him as a slave instead of a legitimate fighter. Many years after this point, Krrsantan left the gladiator pits and became a bounty hunter, working for the highest bidder to spread his reputation, and to earn a lot of credits at the same time. This would lead to Krrsantan being hired by Jabba the Hutt, around 10 years before the Battle of Yavin. Jabba sent Black K to locate the man who was disrupting the water tax he imposed on the local moisture farmers of Tatooine, as it was directly cutting into his profits. Krrsantan went to the site of the last attack, and then kidnapped Owen Lars, since his farm was the closest. Owen struggled to tell the Wookiee that he knew nothing, but Krrsantan wasn't interested in information. He just wanted to hear Owen scream, either to draw out the saboteur, or just because he wanted to torture the moisture farmer. The saboteur did end up showing his face though, and it turned out to be none other than Obi-Wan Kenobi, who was defending the people of Tatooine from the horrible extortion of the crime lord. A heated battle broke out between Black Krrsantan and Obi-Wan, and though Krrsantan was able to trap the Jedi Master with a stun net, Obi-Wan would get the last strike in, and give Krrsantan the long, deep scar along his eye and up his scalp, which would stay for him with many years after this battle. Krrsantan was able to escape from the Jedi, but was disgraced in the sight of Jabba, so he left the planet before Jabba could roast him for his failure. This would not last very long though, as Black K returned to Tatooine and worked for Jabba again, and this time he would be paired with the legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett to work under the Imperial service of Darth Vader, who was searching for Luke Skywalker and the rebel heroes that destroyed the first Death Star. While Krrsantan held up his end of the contract, he would eventually leave Jabba's service and go out on his own, teaming up with Bosk, IG-90, and the rogue archaeologist Dr. Aphra to steal a horde of credits that were seized from the Sontul Pride crime syndicate. This would not be the last time that Black Krrsantan would team up with Dr. Aphra, though this was a tenuous relationship, as he would also be hired on several occasions to eliminate the rogue archaeologist. Ultimately though, Krrsantan was in it for the credits, so he saved Dr. Aphra on more than one occasion, purely because she still owed him money. On another job he did for the Empire, Black K attacked the Millennium Falcon and forced it to crash land. He was after Luke Skywalker, but got more than he bargained for when he encountered the enraged Chewbacca, who was flying with Han and Luke at the time. It was a fierce battle, but Chewie was drugged at the time, so he could not best the enhanced Black Krrsantan. However, after receiving an antidote to the poison from R2-D2, Chewie was able to knock Krrsantan to the ground. Krrsantan was not above using underhanded tactics though, and brandished a new pair of brass knuckles to knock out the formidable Chewbacca. Ironically, these knuckles would spell the undoing of the Wookiee when he attacked a damaged C-3PO, which electrified his brass knuckles and electrocuted the bounty hunter. Black Krrsantan would go on many more missions in Legends as a bounty hunter, stirring up trouble wherever he went. He eventually was able to fulfill his desire for revenge many years after his gladiatorial imprisonment, when he encountered the Zonti brothers aboard the Sorker Retreat space station on a job. While he was not able to get revenge immediately, that job ended up going sideways, and he was able to capture the brothers, kill their bodyguards, and smuggle them off the station without anyone knowing. The brothers awoke in a cell, and were then led out into a large gladiator arena, where Krrsantan was waiting for them. The brothers were horrified to learn that Krrsantan owed them a life debt, but not in the way that normal debts were earned. This debt was to repay what had been inflicted on Krrsantan, and the brothers were faced with a future of harsh training as slaves in the gladiator arenas. While these are just some of the adventures that Black Krrsantan went on in Legends, the imposing Wookiee makes a notable canon appearance in the Book of Boba Fett series, where he is an employee of the Hutt twins. Spoilers for the series if you haven't seen it yet, so proceed at your own risk. After Jabba the Hutt was killed in Return of the Jedi, there was a huge power vacuum, and many sought to claim the criminal empire for their own, though this ended up dividing the territory, and many gang wars broke out all across the populated cities. 5 years after Return of the Jedi, Jabba's advisor Bib Fortuna was operating as the new leader of Jabba's crime organization on Tatooine, albeit very poorly, as he was Jabba's mouthpiece primarily, not the brains of the organization. It was at this point that Boba Fett emerged from the Sarlacc and returned to the world of the living. After a time spent with the Tusken Raider clan, Fett sought to claim Jabba's organization for himself, shooting Bib Fortuna and removing him without so much as a second thought. This did not sit well with those that saw the newcomer as a threat, and this brought the attention of the crime lords, including Jabba's cousins, the Hutt twins, who came to Tatooine from the homeworld of Nal Hutta. As the large aliens debate the claim of Boba Fett's ownership of Jabba's organization, their muscle is revealed, the imposing figure of Black Krrsantan. Boba knows of the reputation of this formidable Wookiee, noting his fame in the gladiator pits of Dur, but he will not be moved no matter how many gladiators they send. As the twins leave to settle this another time, Black K stares down Fett with glares that could melt Dura steel. It would not be long before the two would meet again though, as Krrsantan was able to infiltrate Jabba's palace and attack Boba while he was recuperating in his bacta tank. The Wookiee definitely had the upper hand in the battle, but Boba was not out of the fight, managing to bury his gaffy stick in the large Wookiee's back. Krrsantan was a terrifying force to fight against, with his brute strength enough to break the backs of most of his enemies, and overpower even groups of attackers with offensive weaponry. The Wookiee fought most of Boba's forces to a standstill, before being herded into the Rancor pit where he remained prisoner. As Boba met with the twins again, he presented Krrsantan to them in exchange for their renouncing Jabba's claim on Tatooine, though they instead offered the Wookiee as tribute to honor the claim. Boba then chose to free the Wookiee, telling him that working for Scug Holes wasn't worth it, as he often did when he was a bounty hunter. Santo would take Fett's advice and stayed on Tatooine as a freelance hunter, drinking his favorite beverage at the local cantina, though he would still get into trouble by ripping the arms off of a Trandoshan, as Wookiees and Trandoshans have no love between them as species. Boba would then approach Krrsantan and offer him a job, as the Pike crime syndicate were looking to start a war with Boba's clan, and he needed the extra muscle, and could pay for it. Not one to turn down a challenge and the reward of a lot of credits, Santo accepted, and joined Boba in the fight against the Pikes. As Boba collected his forces and stationed them around the city of Mos Espa, they were ambushed by the citizens of the city, as well as members of the Pikes and the other crime organizations. Black K was ambushed by several Trandoshans, and while he managed to take out many of them with his heavy blaster rifle, he was soon overwhelmed, and had to fight with his vibro knuckles and his formidable strength. It wasn't looking good for the Wookiee as he was pinned down by Trandoshans, but don't count him out yet. He fought his way out and attempted to make his way back to Boba's rally point. The Wookiee possessed incredible determination and strength of will as he fought his way through the pikes, taking numerous blaster shots to his body as he limped his way to cover. Boba was impressed by this and aided the Wookiee to cover, saying that he owed the Wookiee one long soak in the bacta tank for his bravery. Santi would continue to fight against the forces of the Pikes, nearly breaking through the shields of the attack droids as they chased down Boba's forces through the city streets, though it would deal him a mighty blow with its powerful legs. He managed to get to cover with the aid of the mods, and fought against the remaining Pike forces until Boba showed up with reinforcements. After the fight, Boba met up with Krrsantan and the mods, giving the Wookiee a small token of appreciation in a Melu run fruit given to him, which Black K was not eager to share. While this is the most recent time that we see Black Krrsantan, it will not be the last, as the legacy of this fearsome Wookiee will continue to spread across the galaxy, and his penchant for violence and chaos will grow right alongside his reputation as a fearsome bounty hunter and terrifying Wookiee gladiator. Want to know more about Star Wars topics like this one? Stick around to the end for some secret trivia, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and the bell to be notified every time I publish a new video. Be sure to chat with me in the comments too, because I really want to hear from you. Super special shout out to my Gold Captain level Patreon supporters Nick Sutphin, Matthew Scott, and Miss 2003. Your support is so appreciated and you keep the show growing. Thank you so much. Be sure to chat with me in the comments, check out my other videos as well, and you can follow the show on social media for more news and channel updates. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.